Okay, you guys, this is going to be my last video, so I'm just going to make sure that you know where to find all of your resources, what you need to do for September, and we'll have one last look at planning pages to make sure that they're excellent as well. So, I had a little bit of a meltdown and I couldn't find any of the resources that I'd put on Canvas, so instead I've made like a completely different page for them. So I'm looking at this in student view, and if you guys click onto the first year photography course, you can see there's my little update where I've just said about this. You'll come to this home page here. So what you need to do is click on this bit at the right hand side, so where it says click here for remote learning resources. This is for you guys. So if you click that, it gives you a full checklist of everything that you need to have ready by September. So everything on this list here. So what I've done is I've put the important links at the top. So my example Google document, which has all of the different tasks in it, and I've shown you the kind of standard I want you to achieve. My YouTube channel, where all the videos are, and also the Pinterest boards where the class galleries and the cheat sheets and things like that are as well. So what's really great about Canvas is it's let me embed everything. So here you've got like your mind map and timeline. I've got my video tutorial for it there, and then the PowerPoint that goes with it is there as well. So these are both clickable links. So as you work your way through, everything is colour coded as well. So your quarantine project stuff and your light project stuff. The YouTube videos, it's let me embed as well. So if you're ever stuck, make sure that you watch the video back, because I've given as much detail as I can in every single one. And then we'll just do a quick recap on that artist research now. So remember, I'm saying I want lots of detail because this is part of your A-level grade, isn't it? It's like 60% of your grade. So just to make sure that you're giving as much detail as you can, make sure you use this resource. So you're choosing photographers that allow you to explore different things, so you're starting really wide. And then particularly this section here where we talked about like the reasoning and the why and giving more details. So slides 5 and 6 there, where you're really kind of using this as a checklist and working all your way through so that you're giving as much information as you can about the images that you're analysing. This will work really well for your bullet points as well. Also think of all that new learning that you've got in terms of lighting and being able to describe what that's like. As it goes through, it mentions like technical information as well, and also technical language, so properly naming the type of photography, using terms like candid and composite, and also talking about things like narrative, using quotes from your research, and really explaining those things. Make sure to give your own opinion and don't forget your next steps. Remember me saying it's like a pie. And if you don't do the next steps, you're missing about a third of that pie, so that's marks that you won't get. So if you want to get a high grade, make sure you do your next steps. It's really important that you do both parts of it as well. So compare and contrast your two in-depths, talk about your photographer's style, and also talk about considerations for your own work as well. So that bridges the gap between your research and your planning page. So remember, this is super detailed so that you can go through it and you've got the best chance of meeting the highest assessment criteria. So in answering all of these questions and using all of these prompts, you're making sure that your work's sophisticated, it's thorough, it's rigorous, it's comprehensive because you haven't left anything out, and it's really informed and you're using that specialist vocabulary there. So everything in this document is going to really help you nail that. And then also I've put the Oreo analysis sheet on the end there, so everything's all in one place. So make sure you use that, super important. And let's have a quick look at planning pages now to make sure that you know how to attack those in a really good way as well. So for your planning pages, this first page is a resource in itself. So you see there that the cursor changes to a little pointer, because it means that this is hyperlinked. So this is linked to a folder where I've put really good examples of different types of planning pages in there. So some are on location, some are portrait based, some use the scanner. So there's really good varied results there that you guys can use as a resource. So what do your planning pages need to include? I know you guys know this, but I'm just going to go over it in terms of detail. So you should always have your aim and the inspiration images that you're setting out to achieve. So 2 artist images that show what you're inspired by. A map, and that could be like your studio setup, or it could be a location, camera settings or a scanner diagram, research of your location and like set up your lights and things like that, so you're explaining your diagrams or your maps, props and equipment, and thumbnails. So let's look at these in a little bit more detail. Your aim can't just be vague, it has to be specific. You can't say, for example, I'm going out to take photographs in the style of Christopher Thomas in Manchester, because it doesn't give enough information, it's too basic. So say what it is that you set out to do or achieve, what the subject matter is, so what in particular you're looking for, what you're photographing, how you'll be inspired by your artists. Make sure you give examples and links, and make sure that those examples link to the 2 inspiration images that you've chosen as well, so there's a clear link between them. Particular considerations, so how you're using compositional rules or colour or camera technique, but also explain that link to your theme. So I'm doing this because it links to my theme, because it's looking at these particular things. Give that information, so there should be a really good aim there. For your map, make sure that it's as specific as possible. So you could actually draw on it, you could circle things, highlight a route, areas of interest. You can do that through Google Maps as well, so you can actually add multiple points to your journey and it will plot those for you. So it's very clear that you have an idea in mind of where it is you're going to go and what you're going to photograph. Same for your diagram as well. Make sure you label it to show how your lights, models, backdrop and everything else is set up. You need to explain that as well. So back it up with any information that you need to know, like about that location or why you've set things up the way that you have, the effect that you're trying to capture. Give examples so that you've got the actual map or the diagram, and then you've got some annotation that goes with that as well. Makes it really clear. For camera settings, do your research to find out optimum settings. If you can identify from a photo that your artist is shooting landscapes and they're doing it in golden hour and everything is in focus, what you could do is you could look up articles about golden hour photography in landscape, look at the kind of settings that they advise you to use and map that into your planning as well. Also, you'd know your aperture if everything's in focus, because you can tell that from looking at the image as well. So you'd explain it, point out particular considerations why you need these things. So this person mentions changing weather and what that might affect. They also talk about what their ISO will be, their aperture, and then also shutter speed depending on light. So they've not just listed them there, they've pointed out their considerations in relation to them as well. So that you'll do from your research. Prop and equipment list is anything you're going to need for that shoot. So anything you need to get beforehand, anything that's going to be in shot. Also, you're going to have like a pretty standard set of equipment as well. A tripod, whether you need it, the camera, the type of lens, SD card. You might need a couple of extra things like a reflector if you're going to bounce some light back, or some additional light sources, a backdrop, some material, something like that. Again, list that, get that on there. And lastly, your thumbnails. So just make sure these are the unedited shots you need to get. So these are the things that you're going to be able to see on your camera screen, see in front of you, or see on your mobile phone. These have to link to your artist research. So if your artist research is all landscape imagery, then your planning page should show landscape thumbnails. If it's a mix, there should be a mix. If it's portrait, there should be portrait. It can't just be a standardised shape. It's got to be the actual shot that you want to get. You can draw the compositional rules on there and make sure you explain them as well. So some people do like little annotations, some people bullet point them, but they're explaining their intentions for their thumbnails as well, and that'll bag you a lot of extra marks. So that's it in detail, and remember, I've got this folder here of examples that you can actually look through. So you can zoom in there, you can read their aims, you can look at their planning for their shoots in terms of camera settings. Also, you could look at how they've set out like maps, how they've annotated their thumbnails and explained them, so it's really clear what you need to achieve. These can be done digitally, obviously, because you're working from home. If you'd prefer to do these on a sketchbook page and photograph that and put that in and then just add images to it in Google Drive, you can do that as well. But whatever you do, make sure that you follow this PowerPoint and make sure that you've covered all of those things so that they're really in depth as well. Remember, this is worth 60% of your A-level, and also remember that all your resources are here to support you. So what you need to hold in your head is that everything is now in Canvas, it's all in one place, and you have to achieve everything off this list and have it ready by September. So additional tasks you'll be doing over the summer is the planning pages that we've just looked at, and they relate directly to your first two artists, and then you just take the photos for your first two shoots as well. So a whole set that belong to artist 1 and it's inspired by them, a whole set that belong to artist 2 and it's inspired by them. You'll need the resources in college to be able to edit them, so you just need to have the images ready. Make sure you save all of your photos, so light project work, anything from the Huddersfield workshop, this 30-day photo challenge, get it all on there, because one of the first things you'll do is you'll make a resource from that. You'll actually present that as some kind of photo book or visual diary for your portfolio, and to make sure that you're still doing something creative, you need to keep ticking over with that 30-day photo challenge. So it can either be these prompts here or the same thing for every day, so the sky, the view from your window, the food that you're eating, or it could be 30 things that relate to your theme. Make sure they're not doubling up on your artist research, it's got to be different, but 30 photographs. The days don't have to be consecutive, and you'll make that into a grid formation with Susanna in one of your first lessons back. So really make this page your Bible. Everything that you could possibly need is on there, and I know that you guys have done a ton of really good learning across first year, so you've got everything that you need to absolutely smash this and get a really good grade for your research.